and welcome to Book Splash on Splash FM 105.5 Ibadan. It is another great moment to read books and chat with writers. Let's savor the moment again today. I am Michael Olatunbosun. The book for today is titled The First Class Edge, written by Israel Alabi and published in 2022 by Value Plus. The author, Israel Alabi, holds a degree in agricultural and environmental engineering from the University of Ibadan. He has a mini MBA from the Lagos Business School. He believes in the power of education to change society and is the founder of First Class Edge Community and convener of the Academic and Entrepreneurship Excellence Summit. In the preface to the book, Israel prepares our mind for the content of this promising work. He whets our appetite this way, quote, I learned that being the best requires much more than natural talent and wishful thinking. It requires work, and it requires obeying certain ethics. End of quote. With that, the author lets us know that nothing good is achieved by just lofty thoughts and sense of entitlement. So, perceptive readers, especially the young ones, will quickly get the memo that in order to produce and sustain a first-class life, one has to respond to principles. And in this 6-chapter book, the author provides his own life, struggles, victories to help us achieve this. Let's set sail once again. In the first chapter of the book, the author talks about his intense desire to help others as a propelling factor for his undying passion to study medicine early in life. In the chapter titled The Edge of Passion, the author expresses to us his confusion and loss after his teacher advised him to consider engineering due to his math score. While his desire was medicine, he reports that he took his teacher's advice and applied for engineering. This thus informs us that his conversation with his teacher taught him that excellence begins from within, even when life throws you out of your passion. The second chapter of the book discusses vision. The author tells the story of a girl who wanted to be free, and in the course of her journey down her path, she came across a fork junction and couldn't decide where to head. So she saw a wise old rabbit and sought his advice, and when she was asked where she was headed, she admitted that she had no particular destination in mind. Then the rabbit replied that it doesn't matter which path she takes. The author here connects Alero's lack of choice with her lack of vision. She had no mental vision of where she is headed and what she hopes to achieve. For him, having imagination helps us envision the things we want to do or the direction we desire to take. Not having vision therefore means that we might not know what to do with the potential and resources that we are given, and we would not utilize them to the fullest. You are still listening to Book Splash on Splash FM 105.5 Ibadan, and we're discussing the book, The First Class Edge, written by Israel Alabi. The third chapter of the book discusses the place of focus in the attainment of a first-class life. The author here states that focus is, quote, concentrating our mental presence and resources on things that we should do while ignoring the things that we could do. For the author, achieving outstanding results requires maximum focus, and while it is natural to have numerous ideas at the same time, it's important to concentrate our mental presence and resources on things that need to be done than ones that need to be ignored. The author admonished that we should focus on a thing and achieve big than to be involved in numerous things and achieve little. Taking a step at a time is much better than spreading yourself thin and achieving nothing. The longer you put your goal aside to accommodate other things, the harder it is to get back to that goal, the author submits. The author labels Chapter 4 The Edge of Association and avers that our association and how we decide to use them will significantly determine where we end up in life. So he explains the importance of associations and associating with right people, especially the people who would push us to do and become better. He buttresses the importance of having the right association with proverbs such as, if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go with others. The importance of connecting with the right people cannot be overemphasized, as it helps in your sojourn in life. In the book, The First Class Edge, Israel Alabi informs us over and over that the key to success in life lies in consistency and discipline. For him, knowing what to do and when to do them is essential and shows discipline. He has strong words in his book for those who find it convenient to keep postponing work and schedules, and wants that to build a first-class life, we must be disciplined. He says that pushing the work of today into tomorrow, that's procrastination, right, is indiscipline and does not help with growth. In the final chapter of this 84-page book, the author urges balance in all things. In his words, I quote now, "Success goes beyond what we do. It involves what we choose not to do." And he opines that balancing academics, spiritual, physical, mental, and personal life, which he called the super edge, is very important. Therefore, all-round success includes, but is not limited to, academics. You must believe in God, be tolerant of other people's religious beliefs, eat good food, and sleep well. He submits that to get a balance in life, we must become value exchangers, we must learn tech skills, and engage in competitions, among other things. Ultimately, the author believes that creating a balance in all the things in one's life is important and paramount to success. In the final analysis, this book is a potent guidebook for anyone and everyone who desires exceptional life and are ready to achieve it by making deliberate, informed, and disciplined choices and actions. The author has done a good job with this work. It is particularly energizing for me, and I fully enjoyed reading it. You're still listening to Book Splash on Splash FM 105.5 Ibadan. It's time to meet my guest, the author of the book, The First Class Edge. In this conversation, Israel Alabi discusses the idea behind the book and his personal message for all of us. Israel Alabi is the author of the book, The First Class Edge. Welcome, Israel.
Thank you very much, sir.
Talk to me about this book. Why did you write this book?
Okay, so the journey of the book, I see it as a journey. It's a journey of many years. And it started in 300 level in the University of Ibadan, when I realized that I was starting to struggle with results. I was struggling to get 60, 50, which had never happened within my more than 18 years of education up to that point. So I started asking myself, why? So it was that question, that reflective question of why am I struggling with results now, that led to the book. Because I started examining my life in high school and comparing it with my first 2 years in the university. And then I started picking out the differences. Because one thing that stood out for me was when I was in high school, nothing could stop me.
Okay.
Not hunger, not stress, not friends. Nothing could stop me. But when I was in the university, anything could stop me. I became stoppable. And that was the underlining tone for the book. That success is not just given to us. It goes beyond talent, beyond what we have inside. We also need to work on it by deliberately making the right choices.
The right choices.
The right principles.
In the preface to this book, you wrote here, I learned that being the best requires much more than natural talent and wishful thinking. It requires work, and it requires obeying certain ethics. You wrote here again, many times we expect the world to worship us because of our beauty, talent, fame, surname, or gender. We expect things to answer to us on a platter of gold. So you wrote here that I realized that we are not entitled to anything and that a warrior yesterday can become chicken meat for others tomorrow. It was a very big lesson for you, really.
Yes, it was.
Going through the work, the way you talked about your energy in secondary school, particularly, excelling in class, the worst position in secondary school was third position, right?
Yes.
And then you went to talk about how you represented your school all around, winning accolades and all that. And suddenly you got to university and boom,
things changed.
Something happened. Tell me that thing that happened.
Okay. Actually, when it was happening, it wasn't something to laugh about because I was feeling very terrible. But in retrospect, I can laugh about it. And I even use it to teach people.
Yeah.
And what happened, it started from the edge of passion that I talked about. My desire at the beginning was to be a medical doctor. But based on some suggestions I got, that, you are very good in mathematics. If you are very good in mathematics, you should actually pay attention to engineering.
Okay.
That was where the struggle started from. And anyone who reads the book will see from that first chapter, the tension in that first chapter. So that shift from medicine to engineering was a root cause because my heart wasn't there. And at a point, I was even telling my siblings that I think I'm going to stop this engineering course and go and pick up another jam form.
Oh, wow.
Because my mind wasn't there. Now, that was the first thing. And because my mind wasn't there, I entered the university without a vision of what I wanted to get out of it.
Oh, wow.
So, it's a progression. No passion, and then had no vision of what I wanted to get. So when we lack vision, anything can stop us. But if the vision is very clear in our mind, nothing stops us. Nothing. So that was what I began to realize, that, there is no more vision in what I'm doing. So that was what led me to think, if I could get back the vision of what I wanted to be, which was the question I asked myself, that is it possible that when I graduate from the university, people would see me, but they would not ask me of my results, because automatically they will assume I had the first class results.
Yes.
And that was the turning point.
I like your progression in this work. So you talked about passion and you talked about vision. So if what you want to do with your life is not clear to you, you will not be able to focus on it. You will just be doing
other things.
You'll be doing like Yoruba say, Tokini Tokeji. That's what you'll be doing.
Exactly.
Just doing trial and error and end up nowhere.
Exactly.
There's a place of focus here.
Yeah.
The way you describe focus in this work, I like to really stay there for a moment. A lot of us don't understand focus.
Yeah.
We just think that I know some people who want to do everything. And your definition of focus in this book is very important for me. You said concentrating your mental presence and resources on the things that you should do while ignoring the things that we could do. Explain to me.
Okay. So that's a very powerful quote that I got. And the reason is because I realized we could do many things.
Yeah.
At any point in time, if we start listing what we could do, we can list over 100.
Okay.
But then success is not gotten from doing all those things that we could do. Because if we want to do everything, we have to use our time.
Yes.
And time is limited. We have to use our energy. Energy is limited. Our mental awareness is not 100% at every point in time.
Yeah.
That's why we have some people, they are nocturnal people who are awake at night. We have the daytime people who are very active during the day. So all these things are limited. If everything we need to create success is limited, so that means what we can use those things for must be limited as well. That is where focus comes in, that we must be clear and aware of the things we should do at every point in time. Because it is that thing that we should do that will create the success we are looking for. And in the university, what a student should do is to focus on his academics, which is the priority for being in the university.
Yes.
And even outside the university, you have a priority at every point in time. It could be business.
Yes.
It could be advancement in career. It could be in politics.
Yeah.
It could be anything. So there must be a priority in your life at any point in time. If there is no priority, there can never be focus. And if there's no focus, there can never be success. So that is the progression.
And then afterwards, you talked about association. You always say that you should show me your friends and I'll tell you who you are.
Yeah.
So indeed, that is a reality. The people that you flock with will essentially affect your direction. They will affect your passion. They'll affect your vision, and they'll affect your focus. Basically,
Exactly.
That's your message, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So can you just expand that thought for me? Many of us don't really understand that we need to put ourselves around people who share certain traits. So tell me now. So for young people who are out there listening to us and would like to take a lesson or two from this our conversation, what should young people be doing, particularly these days that you have so much of distractions everywhere?
Thank you for that question. Now, I made a statement in that chapter that if you are going somewhere, you must never associate with people going nowhere, because you will soon lose your sense of direction.
Okay.
And the reason is because energy is contagious. The people you move with will determine where you end up. Take, for instance, someone who doesn't like sports and is in the midst of people who like sports. Before long, he will start to develop interest in sport, because at every time they're talking about sports, they're talking about premiership, they're talking about, this person scored this goal, they're talking about, how many goals, who is going to be the best defender. So they're talking about those things, and you're seeping into the person, because we are made of membranes.
Yeah.
Not just physical membranes, but also mental membranes as well. So everything is coming into the person. So take, for instance, and it's common in school. That's one of the things I wanted to challenge. When people will be like, school is a scam. And people will say that school has come, right? And you realize that if you have the intention that you want to graduate to the first class and you move with people who say school has come, your energy will drop. Because instead of you to do assignments, you won't do the assignment because school has come. Instead of you to pay attention in class, you won't because school has come. Instead of you to pay attention to the teacher, to take tests seriously, you will keep saying school has come until the day of exam and you realize, oh, I paid school fees and I must sit for the exam. So school is not a scam after all, right? So who you move with determines where you end up. That's why you see, I also talked about mentors, I talked about professors, that they contribute to your success. Because there is this quote that I love by, I think, Isaac Newton, and he said, if I had seen any further, it is by standing on the shoulders of those who have gone ahead.
Yeah.
So if you move with the right people, you can see further, you can move faster, and you can get the results you're looking for in shorter time.
Interesting. I like that. So we can still have focus. We can still have direction that we are going. We can still associate with the right people, and we can then also lack discipline. I know that discipline is very difficult to define for us in this part of the world. A lot of people are busy doing absolutely nothing, and they say but they're focused, right? They're focused on something, but that something is not anything at all that is driving them towards their goal. Don't forget that we have a goal here. The first class life. So in your work, you have established to me that if you want a first class life, you can even be focused and not be disciplined. How can we be disciplined in a country like Nigeria, where not being disciplined seems to be getting reward?
Yeah, that's a very painful reality. And I've discussed it with a couple of my friends too, because it's beginning to look like our climb celebrates an indisciplined life. So you that you choose to be disciplined, you have to now face a tougher challenge, a tougher hill to climb, because you are choosing a disciplined life. Now, the question of being disciplined starts with being very clear of where you are going to, your destination. Your vision must be very clear. Now, when it comes to discipline, you have to understand that discipline is doing what you want to do when you are supposed to do it.
Okay.
So because if you don't do it at the time you are supposed to do it, you are going to pile up the work on another day and take the time from the other things you are supposed to do. So the result of an indisciplined life is not immediate. That's why a lot of people choose to be indisciplined, because if you don't read today, you don't read tomorrow, you are not going to see the poor results immediately, right? If you are living a wayward life, you are doing whatever you want, you are not pursuing any goal, in the meantime, it looks as if you are making it, because maybe you are partying, you are celebrating, people are shouting, people are healing you. But after some time, after 6 months, after a year, after 2 years, you realize that you are far behind. So if you want to be disciplined, you have to be very clear where you are going to, and you have to put in structures to be disciplined. One of the structures I talked about in the book is having a to-do list.
Okay.
It has helped me tremendously. At a point, I used to create my to-do list a day before.
Okay.
To know what am I going to do the following day.
All right.
And now I tell people that if you want to invite me for something, tell me in advance so that I can prepare for it. If I'm not well aware enough, and prior to that, I might not be able to show up.
Okay.
Right? So having a to-do list will guide you. Now, a lot of people create their to-do list anyhow. Your to-do list should focus on the things you should do. Because if you are creating a to-do list and you are filling it with things you could do, okay, I can watch football match, I can go and play a game, I can go and visit this friend, leaving out the most important things you should do, you are still wasting your. That is where you can be focused but doing the wrong things. But if you create your to-do list in the right way, what is my goal? And then your to-do list reflects that goal, reflects the contribution of that day to that goal, then you are doing your to-do list in the right way. So following through is just something that will follow naturally.
Okay, so when we were in the university, we used to have some students, we call them triangular students, from class to library to their room, and back to library and back to class. That is the triangle that you found, many of those who actually scored first class. But for you, you believe that you can still strike a balance and still achieve a first class life.
Exactly.
How do you do that now when you used to look at those people as people who were always reading and reading and reading and reading? But I want to, I still want to watch football,
Yeah.
So how do I create this balance?
Yeah, that's a very good question, because success, like I've been saying, is not just about doing things. It's about doing the right things.
Okay.
When it comes to reading, people need to know who they are. They need to know their reading habits. A lot of people don't know their reading habits. I know that if I'm in class and I watch the lecturer teaching something in class and I take note as a lecturer is teaching us, I can never forget.
Okay.
So when I go back and try to refresh, it is just refreshing. It's easier, right? But if I am someone that has absconded from classes and I'm telling myself, oh, I'll go to the library to read, I'll spend more hours in the library, I would waste my time because I have no prior knowledge. Some people, they are visual learners. Some people, they have to read on their own. So they go to the library and read on their own. So if you know yourself, you can plan your life around your personality. So for someone who is a nocturnal person who operates well at night, he can use his day anyhow and maximize the night. So that is a good way to strike balance around what you want to do. So you have to plan your reading time around your most productive hours.
Okay.
Refreshing yourself, moving around, networking should not take the sole place of the most important thing at any point in time.
Okay, so let's talk about you for a moment. It's still Book Splash on Splash FM. Israel Alabi is here with me. He's the author of the book, The First Class Edge. Tell me about your own sojourn into writing. I know this is not your typical creative writing work. It's not a novel.
Yeah.
It's more like an inspirational, motivational, and all that. How did you discover that you could write this way? To make your thoughts accessible to the world.
Yeah. Okay. Very good question. I realized from a very young age when I was in the primary school that I loved to read. Stories. I read anything I could find, newspapers. I was just looking for the stories. And I've come to realize that people who love to read most times love to write as well. Because when you take in many things, it's garbage in, garbage out. So if you have things inside you, you also want to express yourself.
Okay.
So you first start to model what you see. And then you want to add your own personality to it. So it started from there. I started writing some stories. And I'm like, okay, I can actually write this thing. I kept reading a lot and kept writing too. Even at a point, I started feeling, let me publish this book. I could be an author, I could be a poet. I even used to write poems all. Yes, I used to write poems. And something actually triggered my poetic abilities. And that was in 100 level in the university when I lost one of my very close friends at that point. So he was a very, very close friend to me. So the grief was much. And the only way I could express myself was in poems. So I started writing lots of poems. So I realized something, again, which testifies to the summary of the book, that success is not just about talent. So I could say I had a talent for writing, but I wrote every day. I wrote in my journal, I wrote in books, and when I started using phones, I started writing in the notepad of my phone. I write on my laptop. I wrote almost every day. There is no day that passes by without me writing. And like they used to say, repetition breeds consistency and breeds perfection. And for me, it's not just about perfection, it's excellence. So repetition breeds excellence. So it's something you've been doing for a number of years. After a while, you become skilled in it. And I think that's what happened.
Okay, so tell me, what's your key message for everybody? I mean, by everybody, I mean the old, the young, the government, everybody in this book.
My message is that we can live an exceptional life anywhere we find ourselves if we are willing to follow the right principles and imbibe the right habits. Once we're able to do that, we can produce exceptional results anywhere we find ourselves.
Is there anything that you have put in this book that you think now that you shouldn't have added to it?
Well, I don't think so.
Israel Alabi is the author of First Class Edge. Thank you for coming on the program today.
Thank you very much, sir, for having me.
All right, that was my conversation with Israel Alabi, the author of the book, The First Class Edge. I hope you found it enlightening. If you did, please join me for another edition of Book Splash on Splash FM 105.5 Ibadan, same time next Saturday. I thank you for listening, and in case you have any comment or question, please send me a text message 0805 699 8676 or email Olatunbosun at splashfm1055.com. You can follow me on Twitter at MikeTunbosun. My sound manager is Femi Fakolujo. And my name is Michael Olatunbosun. I urge you to read the book today.